Thing that Donald Trump has ever done is divided this country. America will only be great if you vote for me. And that's bullshit. It's not making America great. It's making Donald Trump great. Vote for me so I can pardon myself, do anything I want, get away with it. Just a regular guy. But when I look up the definition of narcissist...
And they say, we don't need him, freedom, freedom. He's a dictator, he's a dictator. A lot of people are saying maybe we like a dictator. I don't like a dictator. I'm not a dictator. I'm a man with great common sense and I'm a smart person.
What happens when a 300-pound titan of the ring and television's most razored comedian finally lose their patience with Donald Trump? Brace yourself. Nothing about this moment is gentle, graceful, or quiet. Dave Bautista brings the storm. Jimmy Kimmel brings the venom. And just like that, the political stage belongs to them. But nobody predicted what came next. This wasn't typical celebrity noise. It struck a nerve, and Trump felt it.
We'll be here shortly, and if you're watching in bed at the White House, you might want to stay up because we are definitely going to be talking about you, girl. Okay? You know, President Donald Trump did find time between bombings yesterday to post.
No, not at all. I think Jimmy Kimmel's terrible. You know what suspended him? His talent. You know what else is really what? Take a look at this guy, his ratings. That's what got Jimmy Kimmel out. He was terrible. And didn't he lose? I saw a report where ABC lost millions of dollars.
Hit that like button and subscribe right now, because trust me, you cannot afford to miss this. It started like any other night. Studio lights blazing, the band locked in, the crowd alive, and the monologue locked and loaded. But somewhere between the opening joke and the third camera cut, the entire energy in that room changed.
If you vote for me. And that's bullshit. It's not making America great. It's making Donald Trump great. Vote for me so I can pardon myself, do anything I want, get away with it. Just a regular guy. But when I look up the definition of narcissist, this is who people want running our country. Everything he loses is rigged. When he won in 2016, because he lost the popular vote was rigged. What a whiny little bitch. The fact that he was convicted, 34 felonies, it was rigged. Guilty of fraud because it was rigged.
What started as late-night laughs slowly shifted into something closer to a live courtroom showdown. And standing right in the middle of it were two men worlds apart in style, yet locked on the same target. Jimmy Kimmel and Dave Bautista
post what the New York Post called apocalyptic footage of San Francisco under Gavin Newsom. The Ayatollah is pulling out all the stops lately. Team Trump was on Capitol Hill today to brief Congress about the strikes on Iran. Usually, that happens before we invade a country, but technically only Congress has the power to declare war. But also, technically, you're supposed to get a permit to tear down the East Wing of the White House. And they're not going to get bogged down in technicalities.
For years, Donald Trump has served as late night's most dependable punching bag, a living headline machine whose every rally speech and tweet lands already gift-trapped with comedic gold.
This is who people want running our country. Everything he loses is rigged. When he won in 2016, because he lost the popular vote was rigged. What a whiny little bitch. The fact that he was convicted, 34 felonies, it was rigged. Guilty of fraud because it was rigged. I know why he's so proud. Turning over Roe versus Wade, and the reason is because he's a massive piece of shit. This dude got laughed out of the United Nations. That says a lot.
Hosts built entire episodes around him. Audiences grew comfortable with the pattern, and the cycle repeated so often that even outrage started feeling scripted. The formula never changed. Trump says something explosive. Comedians fire back, supporters retaliate, and the internet divides into cheers and rage. But this night felt distinct. Kimmel never reached for easy impressions or stale punchlines. Instead, he positioned Trump not as a cartoon antagonist, but as a central player inside a broader political machine that feeds on chaos. When Trump bragged about record-shattering victories, Kimmel responded not with dramatic fury, but quiet skepticism, carefully placing bold declarations beside documented facts. The gap became the joke, because people are far more disturbed by contradiction than mockery. By letting Trump's own words collide with measurable reality, Kimmel built a tension that felt less like a roast and more like a reckoning.
Turns out they probably should have just given him that Nobel Prize. I mean, remember Star Wars R2-D2's playing chess with Chewbacca and C-3PO suggests he let the Wookiee win? We should have let the Wookiee win. Now we have no arms. Poor Guillermo. And I know it was a tough weekend. Guillermo, I know you and the Ayatollah were very close, right? every morning, Guillermo would call him. He'd say, "Hola, Ayatollah," and they had a great conversation. Yeah. I'm sure you'll find a new Ayatollah. I bet you'll find...
That shift did not occur in isolation. The political climate is noisier than ever. Narratives solidify fast, and every public criticism carries amplified consequence. Kimmel appeared conscious of that weight, which is exactly why the monologue felt calculated rather than reactive. Each segment built on the previous one, converting isolated jokes into a structured case about power, media dominance, and accountability. Then came Dave Bautista. His presence injected an entirely different kind of energy into the moment. Recognized for his commanding physicality and zero-filter honesty, he does not enter political conversations as a careful observer. That contrast between Kimmel's surgical wit and Bautista's raw condemnation produced an unexpected chemistry. One dissected, the other declared. One wielded humor like a scalpel, the other used conviction like a floodlight. Together, they pushed the moment beyond a single monologue and ignited a full cultural flashpoint. Clips exploded across social media within minutes. Trump supporters labeled it predictable Hollywood aggression, insisting that late-night television surrendered its neutrality long ago.
I really do. I hate them. I cannot stand them. With all of the things we did with the tax cuts and rebuilding our military, not one Democrat voted for us. And I think we use it in the campaign that's coming up, the midterms, because we got to beat them. But all of the things that we've given, and they wouldn't vote only because they hate Trump. But I hate them too, you know that? So it's sort of, I really do, I hate them. I cannot stand them because I really believe they hate our country. You want to know that?
Trump's critics saw the segment as a necessary escalation against escalating rhetoric. Yet what connected both sides was recognition that this was not background noise. The reactions were too fierce, the commentary too layered, and the framing too deliberate for it to quietly vanish into the next news cycle. Much of that intensity stemmed from Kimmel's choice to challenge not just Trump's words, but the machinery that magnifies them. He exposed how media ecosystems convert controversy into currency, how attention functions as both criticism and reward. Kimmel leaned into that tension rather than pretending it away, and that honesty gave the monologue unexpected depth. Bautista's approach, meanwhile, stripped away complexity and embraced moral clarity. He framed his criticism in absolute terms, centering leadership, accountability, and the consequences of unchecked rhetoric. Where Kimmel constructed a layered argument wrapped in satire, Bautista delivered something closer to a public declaration of principle.
This group. The president sent a letter to lawmakers in which he claimed that it is too soon to know the full scope and duration of this conflict. Now, on Sunday, he said it could last 4 to 5 weeks. Yesterday, he said it could be more than 4 to 5 weeks. Today, he said it's too soon to know, and tomorrow, we'll be shooting for Christmas, I guess. However long it takes until everyone stops talking about how many times his name is in the Trump Epstein files. That's how, and one of the concerns...
The combination produced a two-sided critique speaking to both heart and mind. What elevated the entire episode was structure. Kimmel never fired off disconnected jokes and moved on. He built momentum, weaving together policy disputes, legal controversies, and public contradictions into one cohesive narrative. The audience was not simply laughing at isolated moments. They were following a story. Each comedic beat reinforced the central idea that spectacle routinely disguises strategy. That deliberate framing complicated the familiar accusation that late-night hosts merely preached to the converted. While the studio crowd clearly leaned one direction, the argument itself stretched beyond partisan lines. It raised deeper questions about media literacy, public memory, and the normalization of political chaos. By targeting systems rather than personalities alone, Kimmel pushed the conversation above tribal instinct. Yet even within that broader criticism was an acknowledgement that the words landed with unusual force. The intensity confirmed the framing had struck a nerve, not merely jokes about speech length or rhetorical inflation, but the suggestion that behind all the noise lives a carefully engineered machine, designed to monopolize attention.
Taylor Swift in all capital letters. Who's more American than Taylor Swift? Nobody. Talking about Governor Whitmer, he was asking for federal help. He wouldn't return her phone call because she hurt his feelings. Can you think of anything more un-American? Shit all over Obamacare, promising that any week release his health care plan. And next week, we're gonna have something very shortly. It's like nothing you've ever seen, except it never fucking came. You love our country so much, stop fucking shitting on it. Like Ali right now. Make America great, let's stop all this hate. Love America again.
A broader cultural shift is also unfolding. Late-night television has transformed from light celebrity chatter into a hybrid space where entertainment and commentary blend effortlessly. Audiences no longer expect hosts to stay neutral. They expect engagement, interpretation, and occasional confrontation. Kimmel embraced that expectation, stepping into territory that blurs the boundary between comedian and commentator. Bautista's presence reinforced that evolution. Celebrity voices carry serious weight in a digital landscape where cultural influence frequently rivals institutional authority. When a high-profile actor openly condemns a political figure, the message travels far beyond traditional news. It moves through fan communities, entertainment platforms, and social feeds that might otherwise stay completely disconnected from policy conversations. The debate stretches well beyond its original context, feeding directly back into the very ecosystem the monologue criticized. This secondary life often delivers greater impact than the live broadcast itself, reaching audiences who never watch late-night television but stumble across clips on social platforms.
Turns out they probably should have just given him that Nobel Prize. I mean, remember Star Wars R2-D2's playing chess with Chewbacca and C-3PO suggests he let the Wookiee win? We should have let the Wookiee win. Now we have no arms. Poor Guillermo, and I know it was a tough weekend. Guillermo, I know you and the Ayatollah were very close, right? Every morning, Guillermo would call him. He'd say, "Hola, Ayatollah," and they had a great conversation. Yeah. I'm sure you'll find a new Ayatollah. I bet you'll find
It draws commentary from pundits, influencers, and political operatives who understand narrative framing. In that sense, the monologue becomes less about comedy and more about positioning inside an ongoing cultural tug-of-war. There is a reason moments like this generate disproportionate reaction. They bypass formal debate stages and speak directly to cultural sentiment. Comedy lowers defenses, allowing critique to slip past ideological armor. When humor pairs with structured analysis, the result feels more penetrating than any cable news segment drowning in crosstalk. Yet the risks are genuine. Blending satire with serious criticism can deepen polarization. If audiences read every joke as an attack rather than an invitation to reflect, Kimmel appeared conscious of that danger, which is why his tone, though sharp, never collapsed into pure insult. He dissected contradictions rather than leaning on caricature, signaling the subject deserved thought alongside laughter. This episode reminded us that modern political discourse unfolds in unexpected arenas. The stage may feature a live band and studio crowd, but stakes reach far beyond entertainment. A monologue becomes a statement becomes a flashpoint. And that flashpoint feeds an ecosystem where narrative shapes perception more powerfully than policy, Nat.
The only reason is because he's a massive piece of shit. This dude got laughed out of the United Nations. That says a lot. Gotta be the system's rigged. I hate Taylor Swift in all capital letters. Who's more American than Taylor Swift? Nobody. Talking about Governor Whitmer, he was asking for federal help. He wouldn't return her phone call because she hurt his feelings. Can you think of anything more un-American? Shit all over Obamacare, promising that any week release his health care plan.
Whether one reads this segment as courageous, commentary, or partisan theater depends entirely on perspective. What cannot be denied is its impact. It proved how humor functions as both mirror and magnifying glass, reflecting societal tensions while enlarging deeper questions about power and accountability. As election cycles approach and rhetoric intensifies, moments like this will only grow more frequent. The boundaries between politics and entertainment have become too intertwined to separate. Figures like Kimmel and Bautista occupy a unique space within that intersection, capable of entertaining, critiquing, and influencing all at once. And perhaps that is the most compelling part of this entire episode. The applause faded, cameras cut, and the band packed up. But the ripple effects continued long after the final joke landed. In a media landscape where every word can ignite a digital wildfire, the real story is not just what was said, but how it was framed, how it spread, and how it quietly reshaped the conversation in a culture that rarely slows down enough to notice.
Right, they did it in concert with Israeli forces. It required intense secrecy, which is why Donald Trump watched it unfold from his membership-only beach resort in Florida, from the very spot on which just 2 months ago, Vanilla Ice performed on stage with a Ninja Turtle, just as the prophecy foretold. The president monitored the attack from his super secure bunker at Mar-a-Lago. Don't worry, I'm sure these fabric curtains are totally soundproof.
If anything, the aftermath confirmed that the real arena was never the studio, but the invisible coliseum of timelines, comment sections, and algorithm-fed outrage where every clip becomes ammunition. Within hours, supporters and critics were slicing the segment into fragments, reposting lines, freezing facial expressions, and debating intent like analysts studying championship game film. What aired as a carefully structured narrative was reborn as 1,000 micro-moments, each filtered through a different ideological lens. That fragmentation reveals more about today's media climate than any single joke ever could. In an era where attention is currency, a late-night monologue can ripple outward into strategy meetings, fundraising emails, and campaign talking points. Bautista's involvement amplified that ripple differently. His audience does not perfectly overlap with Kimmel's, and that distinction matters. When an actor known for blockbuster franchises publicly aligns with pointed political criticism, it penetrates communities that typically avoid late-night commentary entirely. His unfiltered delivery cut through the usual comedic cushioning and reframed the discussion as one about values rather than punchlines. Meanwhile, the backlash exposed just how deeply entrenched the battle lines have truly become.
Ain't no real verses lately, and the reason is because he's a massive piece of shit. This dude got laughed out of the United Nations. That says a lot. Gotta be the system's rigged. I hate Taylor Swift in all capital letters. Who's more American than Taylor Swift? Nobody. Talking about Governor Whitmer. He was asking for federal help. He wouldn't return her phone call because she hurt his feelings. Can you think of anything more un-American? Shit all over Obamacare, promising that any week release his health care plan. Next week, we're gonna have something very short.
For many Trump supporters, the segment confirmed a long-held belief that Hollywood operates as a cultural opposition party. The studio applause was interpreted not as spontaneous reaction, but as proof of elite disconnection from everyday concerns. In that reading, the monologue was not a challenge to power, but a performance of predictable contempt. Yet even that criticism reinforces the central tension Kimmel seemed determined to expose. The deeply symbiotic relationship between media and political spectacle. Trump's rise was fueled by relentless coverage, much of it critical yet undeniably amplifying. Late-night hosts now attempt to counter that amplification with sharper framing and contextual analysis. But in doing so, they keep the spotlight firmly on him. That duality is difficult to execute and even harder to sustain. There is also a generational shift unfolding. Younger audiences consume news through a mosaic of entertainment clips, social commentary, and influencer reactions rather than traditional broadcasts.
Told us in advance that the speech was going to be long, and for once he was telling the truth. We were waiting for the speech to finish before we started shooting the show. He went on so long we had to start before he said, he's probably still going, right? Which is a problem because Mike Johnson's bedtime is 9 o'clock sharp. The speech went on so long, Kristi Noem's dog shot itself. Okay? They do need to hire an orchestra to play him off like the Oscars.
Them a late-night monologue functions as both recap and interpretation. It packages complex political developments into digestible narratives without stripping away emotional texture. In that environment, figures like Kimmel and Bautista become intermediaries between formal politics and cultural conversation. Ultimately, the episode underscored a simple but powerful truth. Modern political influence does not live solely in podiums or press briefings. It flows through stories, framing, and the emotional undercurrents that shape how events are remembered. When comedy steps into that space with intention, it can unsettle, provoke, and occasionally clarify. The laughter that night was real, but so was the friction. And in a polarized era where certainty drowns out curiosity, even a moment that forces audiences to pause and reassess carries genuine weight. Whether celebrated as bold commentary or dismissed as partisan theater, the confrontation between Kimmel, Bautista, and Trump revealed something enduring about this cultural moment. The stage may be built for entertainment, but the conversations unfolding upon it are anything but trivial.